So we're talking about the resonance class and diminishing the defense mechanisms while cultivating self-acceptance. And, those things seem very, very different, but they're just two sides of the same coin. A lot of times when we're in defense mode, we think of fight flight, which is true. We're in fight flight because of things in the environment or, people being aggressive towards us or being a jerk or a past trauma or stress levels, which is all true, but there's pieces of us where we're living with a foot in the past, like those situations have passed, but we still think that they're in the present moment. And you know there are aspects in our consciousness, especially higher consciousness, that when they're become more active, the defense mechanisms really begin to regulate. And it is um, tied to very deep intuitive function in the mind. You're really tapping into a kind of essence, and the manifestation is it's very calming to the body and it's very regulating to the emotions, and it helps to quiet the mind and calm down the repetitiveness of the mind. And so this aspect is tied to calming the defense mechanism of always having our guard up, always waiting for the other shoe to drop, or if I put my guard down, something bad's going to happen, any version of that. But on the flip side of that is, because of these situations, we've kind of have drifted away from like this inner strength or this piece of us that is very good at handling problems. And, sometimes it's because of things that have happened to us or our family or fitting in at work or fitting in society or fitting in with a circle of friends or, not wanting to rock the boat or, whoever it is. And, I didn't want to quite use this term, but it's really kind of about accessing this like your inner badass part of yourself. And it doesn't mean mean and it doesn't mean aggressive, but you know, it means there's a part of you that has a lot of strength, that is very full of confidence, that can come forth and really thrive in a crisis or thrive in a difficult situation. And sometimes we push those things away to kind of fit in, or because we're afraid of them. And the self-acceptance, it kind of implies that we're accepting the broken parts of ourselves. And yeah, there's probably some of that in there, but we also we also resist the stronger parts of ourselves too, because it does mean that we shift and we change, and change doesn't mean become something different, but it's really about embracing bigger parts of ourselves. And so by going through and doing this process, you're really affecting how you're impacted by the environment and the effects that it continues to generate in you, changes of behavior, feelings, feeling afraid, feeling defensive, you know, feeling that something bad's always happening, or just not having a sense of well-being, but also how you influence the environment, which really means how you produce stability in your environment, be it in interactions with people, interactions with groups, interactions that where there's problems that kind of come up from time to time. How do we produce stability even in times of crisis or times of change, or chaos in the environment, chaos in society, chaos in the workplace? How do you maintain this kind of stability all the way through? And there's this inner strength that if you know where to look for it, you can kind of tap into it. And it is a state of consciousness. It is, it's even beyond the dream consciousness that we talk about in the light and love class, healing with light and love. It's the fourth aspect of consciousness. And the lower form of the four aspects of consciousness would be tied to the four aspects of blood. For those of you that did the classes that had blood one, blood two, blood three, blood four, I just numbered them because different traditions refer to them in different ways. But basically, you're refining your responses, you're refining the ego, you're refining and becoming more of who you are rather than what's happened or what life has, done to you and where you kind of ended up. And so there's even this process that's a very general, like psychological healing process where you unwind the conditioning and the energy of thought from other people. You unwind the thought forms that either people projected at you or that we generated to manage stress or difficult situations, or if there's trauma or fear. You flesh out the homeostatic emotions, you flesh out the negative projections or psychic attacks that have been directed at you, and you diminish stress in this like kind of short process that is systematically addressing each one very specifically, but in this little process. And so, you don't have to think about somebody. You don't have to go, well, what about this? What about that? What situation do I think about? It just keeps unwinding things so that as the intuitive mind keeps coming forth, you're bringing more of your true nature forward. Your intellect, your emotions, your instincts keep making the adjustments so that you basically embody who you are rather than diminishing who you are and then just becoming reactive and defensive and not knowing what to do and how to handle it. And so, on a very low level, yes, you're diminishing fight flight. On a very high level, it's an inner strength or inner peace that you tap into that's always there. But, we've all kind of turned our backs to it to a certain extent. It's kind of funny me saying this, but I can remember when I started turning my back on that peace. I was very young, but I remember like just the thoughts in my head, and I was like, I'm gonna turn away from that because it was, I don't know, it was just my perception was I was going to cause issues in interactions with a group of friends, and I didn't want to lose the friends, so I turned away from it. I wanted to fit in. And so higher potential for feeling abandoned, higher potential for feeling rejected, higher potential for always being frustrated, anxiety levels increased. I mean, part of these mechanisms are tied to our anxieties and fears and things like this. And so, uh, yeah, it's tied to shifting the inner state, which is vibrational work. But the vibrational work is so kind of big that we divide it up into pieces, and they kind of overlap a lot, or not a lot, a little, but they each have their piece that they're developing in you. And this one's about like an inner strength or a self-acceptance, diminishing self-judgment and increasing confidence while decreasing self-doubt. So this is going to be part of a mashup. We're going to use this in a few mashups over the next few months. And so this will be tied into some of the other vibrational classes. And so I would, if you're interested and you've been on this healing journey, it would be definitely one that I would jump onto if I was you. So take care.